I'm 70 now and I've started avoiding people. Here's why. Hey friends, reaching 70 feels like a big milestone. One I never thought would come so fast. 1 minute, you're in your 20s, bursting with ambition and energy, and before you know it, you're waking up in a body that feels like it's changing daily, with memories stretching across decades. Life evolves, priorities shift, and as I've gotten older, I've noticed something unexpected in myself. I've started pulling away from others. This wasn't always the case. I used to be the social butterfly, constantly surrounded by friends, always at events, lending a hand in the community, being the person everyone could count on. But somewhere along the line, something shifted. At first, I thought it was just me. Now I'm starting to see it's probably more common than I thought. Let me share why. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. 1. Time has become more precious than ever. Now that I'm 70, I find myself reflecting on time in ways I never did before. It's not just about the ticking clock or the pages turning on the calendar. It's the deep, undeniable truth that time is limited. When I was younger, time seemed like this endless stretch, like an infinite river flowing toward an unknown horizon. I took it for granted, believing there would always be more. I spent hours on trivial conversations, invested in relationships that led nowhere, and did tasks that didn't bring me joy or meaning. Back then, it all seemed insignificant, but now every single moment feels like a precious gift, and I'm determined not to waste it. Time has become something more than a number. It's a constant companion, sometimes gentle, sometimes unforgiving, but always reminding me to appreciate every moment I have left. It's in the quiet mornings as I sip my coffee and watch the sunrise, holding the warmth of the cup in my hands. It's in the long walks in the afternoon, hearing the crunch of leaves beneath me, thankful for the strength in my legs. And it's in the evenings when I settle into my favorite chair, reflecting on the rich tapestry of memories I've woven throughout my life. I used to think that filling my days with people and activity would make my life feel more fulfilling. But what I've learned is the opposite. It's not about how much you do or how many people are in your life. It's about the quality of those moments and relationships. Now I choose where I spend my time and with whom. I'd rather have a deep conversation with someone who truly understands me than attend a packed event where I'm lost in a crowd. The truth is, I've become fiercely protective of my time because I've come to realize how irreplaceable it is. When you're younger, you believe there's always tomorrow to fix things, rebuild connections, or chase after your dreams. But as time passes, you understand that there are fewer tomorrows than you'd like to admit, and that realization doesn't make me sad. It makes me intentional. I don't waste hours on pointless drama or meaningless conversations anymore. I don't feel obligated to say yes to things that don't align with my values. Instead, I focus on what truly matters: my health, my passions, and the people who bring joy into my life. There's a deep sense of peace that comes with this shift. I've stopped feeling guilty about turning down things that don't serve me. I no longer feel the need to justify my choices when I opt for solitude over socializing. It's not that I don't value relationships. I treasure them more than ever. But my priorities have shifted. Now I want my connections to be real, my conversations to have depth, and my days to feel fulfilling, not just packed with activity. Time at this stage is also about letting go of regrets over missed moments, releasing old grudges that once seemed so important, and letting go of the pressure to do everything. I've learned that it's okay to slow down and just be. There's no race anymore. The best moments aren't in grand achievements, but in the quiet, simple joys. The sound of a favorite song, the feel of a warm breeze, the laughter shared with loved ones. So yes, time feels more precious now, but it also feels fuller. I've stopped chasing it and started savoring it. And in doing so, I've found a contentment I never imagined possible. At 70, I don't want to waste a single moment, not because I fear running out of time, but because I finally understand what a gift it truly is. 2. Relationships evolve, and so do we. As time marches on, the way we connect with others shifts in ways we often don't see coming. Some bonds deepen, rooted in shared experiences and quiet understanding. Others, they gently fade, like a story that once meant everything but now rests on a shelf, untouched. At 70, I've made peace with the idea that not every relationship is built to last forever. And that's perfectly okay. What I've discovered is this. The people who remain by your side in this season of life are usually the ones who truly belong there. In my younger years, relationships felt like the heartbeat of life. I surrounded myself with friends, colleagues, neighbors, always trying to keep the circle wide and the connections alive. I was the one who remembered birthdays, attended every gathering, and tried, sometimes desperately, to be there for everyone. But over time, I began to see how much effort it took to hold on to relationships that didn't give back the same energy. Life, in its quiet wisdom, tends to do its own pruning. People drift. Priorities shift. Some connections end in pain. Others just slip away with the years. I used to blame myself for the distance, asking what I could have done differently. But now I see it more clearly. We're all on our own paths. Some people are meant to walk with you for a chapter, not the whole story. And it's not just others who change. We do too. I'm not who I was at 40 or even 60. My lens has sharpened. These days I crave authenticity, peace, and real connection. I've lost the appetite for drama and the exhaustion of one-sided relationships. I once believed that being available for everyone made me good, made me loyal. But I've since realized something far more valuable. True relationships don't drain you. They nourish you. They bring light, not weight. Some of the most important lessons I've learned about love and loyalty came through pain. Trust shattered, loyalty unreturned, kindness overlooked. And while those moments left scars, they also brought wisdom about setting boundaries, recognizing unhealthy patterns, and honoring my own needs. I no longer pour my heart into people who can't hold it with care. These days I invest in the few who see me, who listen, who show up. And it's enough. Still, I'd be lying if I said I never look back. Sometimes a name or a memory will float up. A friend who once felt like family, a relative whose journey has taken them far from mine. There's a gentle ache that comes with remembering. But instead of holding on with regret, I choose to appreciate those moments for what they were. Beautiful fragments of a life well lived. They helped shape me, taught me, changed me. And while they may no longer be present, their impact lingers. 3. Trust becomes more complicated. With age, you start to understand just how delicate trust really is. In my younger days, I gave it freely, believing in the best of people, in the strength of their words and the goodness of their intentions. Back then, trust was almost second nature, but life has a way of teaching hard lessons. Betrayal, when it comes, has a way of reshaping your entire perspective. And now at 70, I find myself far more selective. It's not out of anger or bitterness, just wisdom. Hard-earned, sometimes painful wisdom. Over the years, I've experienced the sting of being let down by people I never expected. A close friend who slowly revealed they were more interested in what I could give than who I truly was. A business partner who chose personal gain over shared dreams. Even family, yes, even those closest, have pulled away, leaving behind a silence I couldn't fully explain. These moments, whether quiet or abrupt, left me standing at a crossroads. Do I shut down completely or learn to tread more carefully? I chose the latter, but that choice came with its own challenges. These days, when someone new enters my life, my first reaction isn't excitement, it's hesitation. I instinctively ask, what do they want? Why now? I don't like that feeling. It's heavy, it's cautious, but it's also protective. It's a kind of emotional armor, formed not from fear, but from experience. Because I've learned that not everyone who smiles has good intentions, and not every connection is meant to last. But here's the thing. Trust isn't just about others. It's about trusting yourself, trusting your instincts when something feels off, trusting your judgment when it's time to walk away, trusting that you have the right to protect your peace, even if it means creating distance from people you once held dear. And perhaps most importantly, trusting that it's okay to say no to what doesn't serve your soul. That said, life continues to surprise me. Even now, I still have moments that restore my faith. A stranger's unexpected kindness, a friend's quiet act of care, a neighbor's simple check-in during a storm. Those small gestures remind me that while trust may be harder to give, it hasn't disappeared completely. It's just more intentional now. At this stage, I don't build walls. I build gates, strong enough to protect what matters, but open just enough to let in love, authenticity, and genuine connection. The complexity of trust has simplified something else: my relationships. I no longer need a long list of people around me. I only need a few I trust deeply. And those, they're more precious to me now than ever before. At 70, trust isn't easy, but it's not gone. It's just wiser, more selective, and far more appreciated when it's earned. And in that, I found a kind of peace. 4. The world feels different now. At 70, it's hard not to notice how much the world has changed, not just on the surface, but deep down in how we relate to one another. The pace of life has accelerated, yes, but it's more than that. It's the shift in how we connect, why we connect, and how often we even make the effort. Sometimes I sit quietly and wonder, where did all the warmth go? I grew up in a time when the world felt smaller, but hearts felt bigger. Neighbors were like extended family. We didn't need invitations or calendar appointments to spend time together. We just showed up. Coffee and conversation weren't luxuries. They were part of daily life. People cared without needing a reason, and there was comfort in the familiarity of routine faces and kind gestures. Now it often feels like everyone is caught in a race, chasing success, chasing busyness, chasing approval in the form of likes and follows. Genuine, slow, heartfelt conversations feel like a rare treasure in a world that seems to prize efficiency over emotion. Even within families, something has shifted. We still love each other, but the moments of connection are fewer and often feel thinner, stretched across schedules, time zones, and screens. Technology has given us many gifts. Being able to video call my grandchildren, for one, is something I deeply cherish. But it's also introduced a kind of emotional distance. We are always connected, and yet somehow we're not truly present. We type, "How are you?" and swipe past the answer. We share updates, not stories. And all around us, the constant noise of notifications, opinions, and updates can make silence feel like a refuge. I sometimes find myself pulling away, not out of resentment or disapproval, but because I long for something quieter, something truer. I miss hearing the texture of someone's voice in person, the laughter that fills a room, or the peacefulness of sitting side by side without needing to say a word. I miss presence in its realest sense. There's also a shift in values that I feel deeply. The world today seems more focused on image than intention, more on gaining attention than giving care. The virtues I grew up with, honesty, kindness, loyalty, haven't vanished, but they feel more hidden, like soft voices drowned out by the loudness of modern ambition. I don't say this as someone clinging desperately to the past, but as someone who misses when life felt less curated and more sincere. Still, I try to hold space for both grief and grace. I know the past wasn't perfect. No time ever is. But the simplicity of those days taught me what truly matters. And that's what I carry with me now. I no longer chase the pace of the world. I move more slowly, more intentionally. I make time for the few who matter most. I write letters. I sit with memories. I embrace the quiet. I honor the past not to escape the present, but to bring forward its essence, love, truth, connection into today. So yes, the world feels different now. And maybe I've changed too. But amidst all the noise, I still seek and find the quiet corners where something real still lives. 5. Solitude isn't loneliness. When I was younger, the idea of spending time alone felt unbearable. A quiet evening with no plans, no company, no conversation. It seemed like something to dread, a sign that something was missing. I used to believe that being alone meant being lonely, but now at 70, I know better. Solitude and loneliness are not the same, not even close. Loneliness is an ache, a hollow space inside that craves connection. It's the feeling of being unseen in a crowded room or unheard in a long conversation. Solitude, however, is something entirely different. It's not an absence, it's a presence, a fullness, a peace that settles in when you realize you're enough, all by yourself. In solitude, I found something I never expected: joy. There's a quiet magic in waking up slowly, sipping tea by the window, watching sunlight dance through the leaves. A stillness in the air that allows thoughts to drift, memories to surface, and your heart to breathe. Come to treasure those small, ordinary moments. Birds at the feeder, a gentle walk under the morning sky, the soothing crackle of a fire on a chilly evening. These are the kinds of moments that fill me up now, in ways that noise and crowds never did. Solitude has also become my mirror. In the quiet, I face my past, not with bitterness, but with gentleness. I've remembered laughter, forgiven old wounds, and found a kind of clarity that only time and silence can offer. There's something sacred about reflecting on your life without distraction. It's in these moments I feel closest to myself, and in some ways, closest to the people I've loved and lost. That doesn't mean I've withdrawn from the world entirely. I still light up when my grandchildren visit. I still enjoy long talks with old friends or being part of something meaningful. But now those moments feel deeper, more intentional. I don't say yes out of obligation anymore. I say yes when it feels right, when it brings joy rather than drains it. Solitude has taught me how to be fully present, not just in my own company, but with others too. There's no rush, no pressure to impress, no hunger for approval. Just me as I am, embracing each moment for what it is. And perhaps most importantly, solitude has taught me how to love myself. Not the version of me that's busy, productive, or socially engaged, but the quiet, unadorned version who simply is. And that love, calm, steady, rooted, has become the strongest foundation I know. At 70, I no longer see solitude as something to avoid. I see it as a gift, a strength, a sanctuary. Because in the silence, I finally heard the most important voice of all, my own. 6. Why I avoid people now. At 70, I've learned that avoiding people isn't a sign of anger, bitterness, or resentment. It's a sign of growth. Quiet declaration of peace. It's the result of years spent giving, listening, caring, hurting, healing, and finally realizing that my time and energy are sacred. For most of my life, I was someone who always showed up for everyone. I gave generously, my time, my help, my heart. I wanted to be the person others could count on, the one who said yes, who answered the late night calls, who carried more than her share because that's what good people do. And for a long time, I thought that's what love looked like. But over time, I learned a harder truth. Being kind doesn't mean you have to be available to everyone. I've been burned by people I trusted. I've been drained by relationships where I did all the reaching out, all the forgiving, all the trying. I stayed in situations longer than I should have because I believed loyalty meant enduring even when it hurt. I excused bad behavior because I didn't want to see people for who they truly were. Now I see more clearly. Avoiding people isn't about holding grudges. It's about protecting my peace. It's choosing not to water dead plants. It's refusing to hand over pieces of myself to people who don't know how to value them. I've learned to say no without guilt, to step back without explaining, to walk away from noise, from drama, from relationships that leave me feeling small, invisible, or used. I avoid people who only talk but never listen, who drain the energy from a room and never fill it back. I avoid those who take and take, expecting my kindness to flow endlessly without ever offering it in return. I avoid those who mistake access to me as entitlement to my heart. But let me be clear, this doesn't mean I'm alone. The people who matter, the ones who've stayed through the highs and lows, who've shown up with love and presence, I hold them close. Those relationships are few, but they are deep, and now they are all I need. Because when you stop chasing everyone, you finally see who's really walking beside you. Avoiding people has actually made me appreciate connection more. Because when I do choose to spend time with someone, it's intentional. There's no obligation, no hidden tension, just presence, just truth. The conversations are richer, the laughter more real, the moments more meaningful. At this age, peace isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. And if avoiding certain people helps me hold on to that peace, then I do it gladly. Not out of bitterness, but out of love for myself. 7. Does this sound familiar? I often wonder, am I the only one who feels this way, or is it just a part of getting older? Do others in their 60s, 70s, and beyond feel this quiet shift too? The one where you're no longer chasing approval, no longer trying to be everything for everyone. In my younger years, I spent so much time trying to meet expectations, being the dependable friend, the supportive partner, the selfless family member. I stretched myself thin to keep up with what I thought I should be. And while it brought moments of connection, it also left me deeply tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the soul-deep exhaustion of constantly putting others before yourself. Now, in this season of life, I've let go of that pressure. I've stopped apologizing for needing rest. I've stopped feeling guilty for choosing quiet evenings over social gatherings. I no longer question whether I'm being too distant when I step back to protect my peace. If you're in your later years too, maybe you've noticed the same thing. How much lighter it feels to say no. How comforting it is to sit in silence without needing to explain yourself. Maybe you found yourself drifting away from relationships that once felt essential, but now feel heavy. That's not selfish. That's self-preservation. This chapter of life, this beautiful, reflective chapter, isn't about keeping everyone around. It's about keeping the right ones. It's about quality over quantity, depth over obligation. It's about releasing the parts of ourselves that were shaped more by expectation than by truth. And no, this isn't easy. It takes courage to let go, to say, this no longer fits me. Sometimes it feels like mourning, but really it's a rebirth, a quiet, gentle reclaiming of who you are underneath all the roles you used to play. If you feel this way too, I want you to know, you're not alone. There's no rule book for how to age gracefully, no checklist for how to do this right. Some people still love the buzz of big gatherings. Others find joy in a few deep connections and the stillness of their own thoughts. Both are valid, both are beautiful. But if you, like me, find yourself pulling away from the noise, take heart. That distance isn't emptiness. It's space. Space to breathe, to think, to feel, to grow. And in that space, I've found something I never expected: freedom. The freedom to live life on my terms, to say what I mean, to rest without guilt, to choose the people and places that feel like peace. So if you're quietly shifting, if you're choosing yourself more often, don't see it as a loss. See it as a homecoming. Here's to this chapter of courage, clarity, and living as fully and authentically as we were always meant to. May we all find the peace we've spent a lifetime searching for. 8. Embracing this chapter. At 70, I've stopped seeing life as a winding down and started seeing it as a quiet unfolding, a new beginning in its own right. There's a gentle wisdom in this chapter, one that only comes from having truly lived. It's not the frantic chase of youth, nor the proving ground of midlife. This is a season of arrival, of being, of knowing. When I was younger, life was full of urgency, goals to hit, people to impress, dreams to chase. I lived with the belief that I always had to do more, be more, achieve more. There was a certain fire in that, yes, but it burned hot and it burned fast. And in all that doing, I often forgot how to simply be. Now I've learned to savor the stillness. I find joy in the morning light, in the laughter of a grandchild echoing through the house, in the quiet rhythm of days that no longer need to be packed to feel purposeful. Simplicity has become my greatest luxury. Peace, my most cherished possession. This chapter, for me, is not just a reflection, it's a celebration of resilience, of surviving heartbreaks that once felt like endings but became beginnings in disguise, of lessons learned not through books or mentors, but through the living of life itself, the messy, beautiful, imperfect living. Yes, I look back, but I don't dwell. I look forward too, with open hands and an open heart. There's still more to experience, more to learn, more to love. Whether it's tending a garden, picking up a paintbrush, or simply sitting in silence and feeling the wind on my face, These moments matter. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this chapter? The freedom. Freedom from other people's expectations. Freedom from my own perfectionism. Freedom to say no without guilt, and yes to the things that nourish me. I've learned that I don't need to explain or justify my choices anymore. I don't need to carry what's not mine to carry. Peace has become a priority, not a privilege. There's courage in that, a quiet kind. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that gently insists, I matter too. And yes, sometimes there's loneliness. Sometimes there are quiet tears for the people who are no longer here or for the pieces of the past that can't be reclaimed. But even in that sadness, there's strength, a soft strength that whispers, you've made it this far, and you still have more to give. Gratitude has become my compass. I'm grateful for the life I've lived, for its highs and its lows, for the lessons and the laughter, for the love that's shaped me and the challenges that have refined me. I'm grateful to still be here, heart open, soul intact, ready for whatever comes next. To embrace this chapter is to release what no longer fits, to trust that this quieter pace has its own kind of magic, to honor what's behind you while remaining open to what's ahead. It's to know that living fully doesn't require noise or spectacle, it simply requires presence. So here's to this chapter, a chapter of truth, of tenderness, of time well spent, a chapter of less striving and more being, less proving and more peace. May we all embrace it with grace. May we live it with intention. And may we never forget that it's never too late to begin again. Closing thoughts at 70, life has shown me that it's not about how much we do or how much we have. It's about the quality of what we cherish, the moments, the connections, and most importantly, the peace we carry within ourselves. I've found joy in simplicity, strength in solitude, and fulfillment in focusing on what truly matters. Choosing to spend time alone isn't about bitterness. It's about protecting the peace I've worked so hard to find. If you're walking a similar path, please know, it's okay to choose what feels right for you. This chapter is ours to embrace in whatever way brings us the most contentment. Here's to living authentically, to honoring ourselves, and to savoring every precious moment we're given. Take care, and thank you for being part of this journey. These lessons aren't just mine. They're here to inspire you to live more fully, more mindfully, and more you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life? Let's support one another on this path to deeper peace and authenticity. If this video resonated with you, please leave a comment with 1 below. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your honest feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more soulful content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your terms. Bukal.